Good morning students. So today we discuss about the various features of a object oriented programming approach. You can see I have listed some of the features of a object oriented program like class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. We have already discussed the difference between the structured programming approach and object oriented programming approach. In object oriented programming approach, the main emphasis is on the data. So we can say the fundamental change in OOP is that a program is designed around the data being operated upon rather than upon the operation themselves. Here operations and data both have equal importance, and we can say even data has more importance than the operations. While in structured programming approach we concentrate on operations. Now if data and operation both have equal importance, so we have to bind them in a single unit. So here the first thing is about class. What is class? A class can be defined as a scheme that describes the properties and behaviors that object of its type support. Class is actually a data type. Here you define that we are going to develop or we are going to define this type of object. This does not actually define any data. Class does not define any data. It just defines about the prototype of data. It defines the blueprint on which an object can be defined. Like if we want to define any student, we first have to define the scheme. The scheme is like this. For a student, we want to store his roll number, his name, his class, his subject, address, etc. While when we want to define a particular student, we define Sahil, roll number 1001 of BSc 1. So when we define or declare any data, we actually define about the blueprint. Next is object. This is the basic element of object-oriented programming. Here both data and function that operate on data are bundled as a single unit called as objects. Objects are actually real world entities. They are actually real things. When we talk about objects, they are actually exist. An object is an instance of a class. Objects are defined in terms of a class. For example, we define a class student, then we define student S1 or student Sahil. So where Sahil is name of a student. So Sahil actually exists. But if we talk about a student, there is no such thing. Student is just a scheme, while Sahil actually exists. So objects are basically the existed things or the entities which we can see, touch, feel. So they are the basic elements of OOPs. Now we can see example like we have a class bird here and it has properties, has wings. Every bird has wings. And what are their functions? They can fly. So here class word define a set of some objects which has wings and can fly. Now we can define a parrot as type of bird. For example, bird, parrot. Now parrot is a object. It is an instance of class bird. When we define parrot as a bird type, we automatically define that parrot has wings and it can fly. It has all the properties and can perform function of class bird. We can have different instances of class bird, like we can define bird, parrot, sparrow, pigeons. They are different instances of the class bird, and they all have wings and they all can fly. Now we talk about abstractions. So by defining a class and objects, we actually define the function and their properties in a single unit. By this way, we bundle together function and data. It can help us to protect the data. It can help us to protect the details from the outer world. First thing now is abstraction. Abstraction is possible due to classes. Abstraction refers to providing only pertinent information to the outside world without giving the detail. It is actually hiding the background details or implementation at initial stage. C++ classes present different methods to the outside without giving internal detail about those methods and data. Actually here we tell the world what a class can perform rather than how it performs that particular operation. We don't discuss about the actual solution or the actual process of solving a problem. We just discuss about the problem. Consider a real life example of a man driving a car. When we all can drive a car or a bike, or we use washing machines at homes. We are concerned just about the basic functions of these devices. For example, if we want to drive the car, we just want to know that accelerator can increase the speed of a car and brake will stop the car. We don't want to know about the inner mechanism of the car or how these operations actually perform, how accelerator can increase the speed. We are not concerned about that. We are just concerned about that accelerator can increase the speed, but how it increase the speed, we don't goes in that much detail because that is not our task to know in order to drive a car. So this is what abstraction is. It relies on the separation of interface and implementation for programming. So here interface and implementation are two different things. Abstraction helps us to concentrate on problem specification rather than actual solution. So here we can concentrate on the specification of the problem. We can easily understand the problem what we want to do, but how to do it is a different things. We don't need to concentrate on that until design occurs. So this is abstraction. Next thing is encapsulation. Encapsulation is a process of wrapping of data and methods in a single unit. We have already seen that in case of classes, we wrap data and methods in a single unit. Classes actually has data and methods defined within them. So this is encapsulation. It helps us in protecting the integrity of the data and functions. It is placing the data and function that work on the data in the same casing. So class actually work like a case. While working with procedural language, it is not properly defined which function works on which data, on which variables. While in O, we clearly define about the functions and the data on which those functions are operated upon. we cover the data and functions together in a single case in OOPS. When all the data member and member functions are combined in a single unit class in C++, this process is called encapsulation. It leads to data hiding, abstraction. Abstraction is possible because of classes, because the operations are defined within a class. Why? Class interface just tells us what class actually do. Next thing, data hiding. Data hiding control data access to the function outside the class and maintain object integrity. Due to the classes, we can define the setting of the data. We can authorize different users for data handling. So in that way, we can hide our data from some unauthorized user. Advantages of encapsulation. It maintains abstraction between an object and its users, and it protects an object from undesirable access by users. Next is inheritance. Inheritance is another feature of class. Here we can define a new class from existing classes. So inheritance is the process of designing a new class from an existing class. The existing class is called as base class. A new class is called as derived class. Here we can define some basic classes and then the other classes depending on or use the new classes which can use the features of already existing base classes can be defined, and these new classes can be known as derived classes, and they sometimes we also call them children classes, while the base classes are known as parent classes. So here all the features of base class automatically comes into the derived class, and this is what inheritance is known as. Inheritance allows us to define a class in terms of another class, which makes it easier to create and maintain an application. Here we can easily maintain and create an application by using inheritance. So inheritance, the new classes is designed as the superset of base classes. They are the superset of base classes because they inherit all the properties of base classes, and then they can have their own features, their own data. The features that are defined in the base classes are needed not to be defined again in derived class. Again, they are automatically become part of derived class. So what are the advantages of inheritance? As the features are automatically became the part of derived class, we don't need to write them again, and it helps us in code reusability. We can reuse the already written code in our new defined class. It helps us to reduce the code size and also helps in decreasing the programming efforts. A class, when we define a class as a inherited class from a base class, we actually define is a relationship between classes. For example, if we define parrot as a class, derived class of base class bird, then parrot automatically has the features of base class bird, wings and fly, and it can have its own feature like it has green color and it eats chilies. So these new properties belongs to only parrot, while The base class properties are belongs to birds as well as parrot class. So parrot is a bird. So we can understand inheritance defined is a relationship between classes. Next is polymorphism. Polymorphism. Poly means many and morphism is forms. So polymorphism means many forms. The ability to use an operator or function in many forms. Poly refers to many. We give different meaning or purpose to the operators or function. Here we can define same function or operators in different ways. We have operator polymorphism in C also, but that is inbuilt. In fact, we have this operator polymorphism in different languages, or we can say in structured programming approach languages also. For example, if we take plus operation, a plus operation is used to add two integer numbers as well as two decimal points number. And if we see, the operations process is actually different in case of integers and in case of decimal point number, because in case of decimal point number we add two numbers according to their decimal point, while normal integer numbers we concentrate on their least significant bit and starts adding numbers from there. So a single operation plus is used to operate on two different types of data, and that is inbuilt in the compiler. But here in C++ we can extend this feature, and we can, or a programmer or user can define the capabilities of operators themselves. These capabilities are additional to the already defined functions of the operators. So we give different meaning or purpose to the operators or functions, but their primary functions still exist. They just extend the capabilities of the operator and function. They don't modify them. They don't change their already existed functions or their already existed processes. By making single function or an operator functioning in many ways is called polymorphism. We use same name for the function and operator to perform same operation. The procedure of the solution is different here, so we write different code for each purpose, but use same name or operators. Like I have told you, we use the same operator plus for integer numbers for decimal point number, while the procedure of solving or procedure of adding two numbers is totally different in both data types. We use function overloading and operator overloading to implement polymorphism. C++ polymorphism means that a call to a member function will cause a different function to be executed depending on the type of object that invokes the function. Well, we can think if all the functions have same name, then how can compiler differentiate which function has to be called? Here we use either different data type or the number of parameters. So depending on the data type or the number of the parameter, compiler can choose desired function easily and can execute that particular function. Operator overloading is enabling the operator to perform same operation on different data type. Here, like you see, the plus is already defined to perform your integer and decimal point addition. We can extend its capability to define the plus operator to add two complex number. In this way, we can use the same function to add two complex number also. And this is the polymorphism which a user can implement in a program in C++. Thank you.